Can you hear me?
No, I can't hear you.
Try again. Can you hear me now? Welcome to What Do You Bring to the Table?
Back in college, I took an acting course with a teacher named Mark Lewis. That class changed my life in many ways. It was more than an exploration of acting. It was an exploration of self, of being human. There was this exercise from his Acting 1 class that I remember called, "Do you hear me?" It worked like this. One actor would deliver a line from a scene we were working on, then pause and ask, "Do you hear me?" Your scene partner would pause and respond with either, "Yes, I hear you," or "No, I don't hear you." And if it was a no, you listened and then tried again. Same line, same partner, same work. The point wasn't volume, it was connection. Did it resonate? That exercise has stayed with me because at its core, it wasn't just about acting. It was about being human. Humans connecting with other humans, being present to their work, their lives. And that's the heart of this podcast.
Every episode, we sit down with someone. Through 4 simple questions about life, values, quirks, and passions, we really listen. We're not just listening for the words, but for the story underneath and around them, the values they reveal, the spark that makes each person who they are.
So whether you're a host stepping into this space, a guest, or a listener pulling up a chair, the invitation is the same. Lean in, listen deeply, and discover together,
What do you bring to the table?
Whoa, what do you bring to the table?
Double recording, just in case. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to What Do You Bring to the Table? Is Brett Cooper today.
Heyo.
This is actually our second time recording. Fun technical noobs difficulties for me last time, but that's okay. We'll try again, and it'll be fun. So Brett is my neighbor, the husband of Steph, who we just had on a little while ago. Computer programmer, web designer, inventor, artist, and just cool guy that I wanted to interview. So that's what this show's about, getting to know him and what he brings to the table. So welcome, Brett. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Let's start with kind of what's been going on in your life recently, and something exciting that's coming into this season of your life. What is one of those things?
Yeah. Well, like Cameron said, this is our second time recording this, so I'm going to try not to regurgitate everything that I said last time. I definitely could not do that if I tried because I don't know what all we talked about, but I do want to hit on a few things we did uncover as we were talking, because I was very exhilarated by our conversation last time. So those things are certainly still living in my imagination from when we did this interview. Was it like a week, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So I guess I've been thinking about this a little bit since then, and I guess so you're asking something about. You're saying something I'm excited about in a season, or what season am I in, or something? Can you rephrase?
Yeah. What is something you're excited about in this season of your life?
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. Well, I don't want to jinx this, so I'm gonna knock on wood, but I am hoping that I'm entering a season of a little bit more stability.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's true, I'm excited about the stability.
Yeah.
In juxtaposition with what my life has been like a little bit in the last 7 or 8 years. I know that life is always chaotic, and if I'm hoping for it to be placid and completely like tame, I will A, not want that, and B, it's not ever going to happen. But it's been especially tumultuous, not in a bad way, in ways I've asked for in the last 7 or 8 years, and I'm hoping that it's starting to stabilize a little bit. Those ways being that, honestly, the business has been a big part of that.
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know, Nathan Rogers, our very good friend, and my wife and I started a business full time in 2018. I had been working for Dort University for a number of years before that as a web developer, a general project developer. And I had done some work for them for a long time that was pretty substantial. I didn't realize at the time because I didn't have anything to compare it to, but I had done an amount of work that was probably valuable in the hundreds of thousands, if not more, on like an enterprise scene. Dort's kind of a cool scene to get your first couple jobs there because you get to wear a ton of hats. It's like a fairly small operation as a university. It's I think now about 2,000 people, students, but they still have all their own infrastructure like larger universities have. So we have our own IT department and our own servers and our own like intranets and extranets, and that's not a word. Just if anybody wants to know extranets, I've never heard that before in the industry. So anyway, I was brought on to rebuild. Wow, I'm really getting in the weeds on my history here. Let me see if I can shorten this. I was brought no, I'm not going to shorten it. I went to college for engineering because I had no idea what I wanted to do, only that I like to build stuff. And that was an idea I had because I'd heard of engineering. So then I chose that. I started that, and I took programming for engineering my sophomore year, and I liked the programming a lot more than the rest. And so I switched to computer science. And then it was a hardware emphasis because it was like the closest to engineering, so I didn't have to like retake a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. And then I got out. So it's like a hardware emphasis. It's like circuit boards and like microcontrollers and stuff like that, right? Which is fine. But when I got out of college, we were still living in Sioux Center where the university is, and Steph was 1 year to go on graduating. So I was looking for work, and Dort had a web developer position open. And essentially the job was to rewrite their intranet, which is like, if anybody doesn't know, it's like the website for internal use in the university for like students and faculty and staff to do all of their daily business, like all their daily like tasks. And so it's very business logic rich, like extremely. It's like anything you can think about having to do to like process student information, or to register for classes, or for checking grades, or for issuing tickets to people who are parking in the wrong place. You would not believe how complex like the inner workings of an entire university are.
There's
like
so much more than you can even think of.
Yeah. It's like it's a giant business. It's an educational space. It's a physical space with facilities. It's, it's got its own parking and security and all those things, maintenance, huge fleets of vehicles and maintenance staff and work studies for all of those things. So it's like doubly complicated than like a normal business would be for all those sort of things. Bazillions of things. So I didn't know at the time, and I don't think my supervisor who hired me really necessarily understood what he was asking of me at the time. Actually, I don't think he still understands. Maybe he does to some degree, but when I got hired to do it, it had more lines of code in it than the NASA space station had to run the space station. Like that's how big it was, how much stuff was in there. And it had all been like patchworked together over the course of like 10 years or 15 years. That was like when I got hired to do that was 2011. And the internet was like still kind of young in 2000 when it was starting to be built. So it was like, there weren't best practices. There weren't like systems or like things. Whoever built it, which was for me, it was another student who was like me, but 10 years earlier, essentially, who went on to also start a business in the same sort of field, sort of patchworked it together. So it was a crazy mess. It was like a giant spaghetti monster the size of the NASA space shuttle. And then my job was to come in there and rewrite it and to like bring it up to snuff. Yeah. So
that's a lot of work.
That's what I started out doing. And so I just kind of got thrown into doing application development, software engineering, and like web development, even though that wasn't really particularly in my emphasis. Yeah. Anyway, it was very fascinating. Long story short, I did that for a number of years. I had a good amount of success. I learned a ton. The first like year or two, I felt like I was just drowning. You're just literally just trying to I remember my first day because Nathan worked there as well. He was the system administrator. And I remember just messaging him like, what is the command line? Like, how do I talk to the server? Because I was like, Windows environment point. Like in this case, you're like remote. You're like bashing into a server somewhere, and you interact with it only by typing like commands. You don't get to see like what the command options are. Right. No. So I'm like, how do I tell it to show me like what's in a directory? So it was hilarious because he just held my hand like for the first like 6 months till I even knew what to like Google. I don't even know what to Google. I don't even know. Right. Anything. I had like the framework for learning that stuff because I had like computer science generally, like all my cores and stuff like that. But what was I saying this for? Oh, yeah. So I really grew my chops really fast. And so by 2018, I had redone the whole thing many times over, added tons of like application logic and stuff to it, and had good user support throughout the university and all the employees. And it was a really good learning experience for me. But what I found was that in my last year there, the year before my last year, Dort hired a third party to rebuild their external website. And they paid something like $300,000 for this contract. And come to find out, that's really actually pretty low for that kind of work.
A big university.
I've worked on more projects since then that are way simpler, that were way more. Not, I wish for Wisnard, but not for Wisnard, but as like a freelancer and a contractor for other companies. Anyway, it didn't go very well. The relationship between the school and the contractor didn't go very well. I think neither of them really understood what was being asked and how to deliver it, and there were a lot of problems. I wasn't really involved. I think the director wanted to keep me in my own lane for some reason, even though I should definitely have been there consulting. And long story short, they ended up firing the contractor at about 60% of project finish. And so they were left with this like unfinished project. And they didn't formally ask me to do it, but it just kind of became my job to finish it. Yeah. And I had no problem finishing it. I think I finished it faster than they would have, and I think I finished it better than they would have. And I was thinking, like, this was a $300,000 project. I could have done this in a year, especially if I got like a teammate to help me.
Sure.
I don't need to make more than $150,000 a year. That's a good number for me. If I was able to do this on my own, I think we can do this, guys. And so I convinced Nathan and Seth, let's go into business to do this. We had already kind of been freelancing on the side. And so like, we can do this full time. If we get a contract like this, we'll ace it.
Easy.
That was very naive of me. It turns out that it doesn't matter if you have the chops. Largely, it matters who you know.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time requesting or responding to RFPs, requests for proposal, wrote a lot of proposals, and never got any contracts whatsoever. And it turns out that you really need to know whoever is asking for the proposal, or you need to have a giant repertoire of almost identical work. So like if we had done 18 universities already and had a giant repertoire and a marketing team to go find those contracts, we might have been able to continue getting more of those, probably would have.
Sure.
But you can't say, look, I did this project that's very similar. Here's my bid. And they're going to be like, yeah, whatever. And then they just go with whoever they know, or whoever, even if it's like 8 times more, it's just like a senseless field. So if you think it's reasonable and that's why you're going to get work, like that's just not how it works. So anyway, we didn't have that much. We didn't have that much in terms of savings at the time. We were taking a gamble, and we knew it. The reason we pulled the trigger was because even though we had a lot of student loans at the time, and it's possible that I could have gotten a job at a much higher paying place and been sort of a cog in the machine and got paid a lot and then paid them all off and then done this later in life. Maybe not that much later, maybe 4 or 5 years. And maybe in retrospect, Steph and I have considered whether we would do it that way again. But at the time, we just decided we did not want to wait 8 years and our student loans to all be gone before we tried to do something very interesting like this. And so we went for it. And all of our savings were gone. It wasn't much in a month or two. And then after that, proceeded for us to try and build an idea of what niche was available to us in the market and what work we could actually find and what we wanted to do, because we were still picky. We weren't willing to completely sell our souls.
Sure. Yeah.
To like just do absolutely anything for anybody. It did end up kind of being that. We ended up like, we cut down trees. I built a farm table and chairs. We've done every single thing at that point to try and just get some money. But the reason was because there were lots of months, maybe more months than not, where Steph and I would look at each other and we'd say, like, we have to make another $1,500 in the next 2 weeks, or else we were going to default on our loans, or whatever. And we had no idea where that was going to come from. That hadn't been started coming down the pipeline yet. So it was just like you're scrambling. And it was exhilarating. It's kind of a young person's game. Yeah. It was extremely stressful. I think I might still have a little PTSD from that. My brain will just wake up and says, you better get to work right now because you don't know what's coming down the pipeline. Yeah. Here we are. It's been 7 years and we've made it somehow. Mm-hmm. But one thing that's interesting about doing it the way we've done it is we're not selling a product, we're selling like a service. And so it's called agency work generally. And for us, we almost never know what's coming down the pipeline. We can see maybe one project, maybe 2 projects down the pipeline, but it's hard to see any farther than that because we don't have teams of people trying to line up projects a year or 2 years out. And the size of the projects that we're generally getting and doing aren't like year-long projects. And so it's like you're always just thinking, what will happen next? Like what will happen next? What will happen next? Are we okay in 3 months? Are we okay after that in 3 months, and then after that in 3 months, constantly for 7 years. Yeah. And we've made it through. We've had some very thin times and some times where we were fairly comfortable, and generally the lines have trended up for us. But it's just been like that for 7 years.
Yeah, it's consistent, but there's somewhere a lull in the line, and that's like nerve-wracking because it reflects more of the beginning of the right times.
And it's, I don't know if it's been consistent, but it's hard to know what the ratio of the stuff that you got to the effort you put in was. So it feels like you're always scrapping. And I kind of believe that if you didn't scrap, you wouldn't have got it. So you're always scrapping.
Right.
You know, not always. Some stuff does fall in your lap occasionally, especially the longer you do good work for people. You get a lot of referrals and stuff. And it's mostly word of mouth for us.
Reputation and then who you know.
And that takes a while.
Yeah.
But it's not guaranteed. You don't know, like, we're going to get a reputation-based project this month. Like, you can never plan on that.
Right.
So even though it always happens, you never know it's going to happen until it happens. And so that's kind of nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And that was fun and exhilarating. Like I said, I think that might be a little bit of a younger man's game. I would like more stability, but I'm not willing to give up the reasons we started this, which is working with the people we want to work with on stuff we want to work with them on under terms that support our values and the lifestyle that we want to have, our balance with our. And so we're not willing, because I at times taken work with other people to try and like be a ballast to our income.
Right.
And that was great and fine, but I'm always reminded why I don't want to work in a normal, like more corporate-y, more, and there are other alternatives to that, but
Yeah.
ones, the more stable they get, the more corporate they tend to be. I mean, they get formalized and then concretized, and then they just get sort of stagnant, and then there's like a hierarchy that develops to manage all that, and then it just gets more and more stale. Yeah, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Sorry. I love to talk about that, as you can tell. So that's like the genesis of a lot of chaos in the last 7 or 8 years. And of course, there's all the normal chaos that comes from just like crazy family developments and like external circumstances in the broader world and living and in personal development and all that. But in addition to that, we had 2 kids. And Sonny is 3 and JJ has just turned 10 months. And, you know, a lot of people make parenthood look easy. I don't know. I know a lot of people don't pretend that it is easy, but for Steph and I, we were unsure we were going to be able to have kids. She doesn't say we were trying, but we were not doing the things. We were doing the things we know lead to babies and not doing the things we know don't lead to babies for quite a long time. So like 8 years, even though we weren't trying, we were pretty much trying. And then for the last 4, maybe I'm misremembering the numbers, she'll correct me, 4 or 5 years, we were actually trying and then finding that we weren't able to. So for maybe it was more like 6 years. We were coming to terms with the idea that we weren't going to be able to have any kids. And so we were really leaning heavily into the consolation prize of being able to do whatever the heck you want with the rest of your life because you don't have that huge amount of like investment time. Not that we're saying that's a better trade-off or not, but we just didn't have a choice. And so we said, well, at least there are some pros to this. We can live a very unconventional life, very flexible. We can do whatever we want. We can really just have a lot of adventures and that we wouldn't have an opportunity to have otherwise. And so we really, really leaned hard into that.
Yeah.
And then we did actually have kid, and things turned out in a good way. But also, one of the things that Steph and I have always valued is our autonomy, and more so when we were trying to just like use that as like the consolation prize, as I said. And so it was a big adjustment for us to try to have a kid. And I think also there's something about our genetic makeup and the way that we view and interact with the world that made that a very not low effort thing. Like Sonny is a very engaged kid, very high energy and very high energy demanding.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful, good thing, but it's like extremely tiring. And, you know, we're just not baby people. Steph said that the other, like when JJ was a little bit younger, she was just sitting on the couch, kind of just staring into space, you know, and she said, you know, I don't think I'm a baby person. And I don't think babies are me people. That made me laugh because it's like, I kind of feel that like babies they take a lot from you at first and they take a long time. It's not about you're trying to like get your investment out of them or anything like that. That's not part of it, but it is like tiring and there's a lot of tumult and changes and you're always wondering, especially with the first kid, like, is this normal? Is this good? Should we be doing more? Should we be doing less? Is this like what's going to happen next? And frankly, just the lack of sleep for our babies have not slept very well. They just haven't been very good sleepers. Not like, I don't want to complain too much because they weren't colicky or anything like that, but they just took a long time to sleep through the night or just to sleep on their own in naps. Yeah. And so JJ's like starting. She's kind of iffy, but she does sometimes. And so just like a year plus of just like very bad sleep leads to like there's a lot of problems in your life that you can solve if you're well rested and have a little space to think about them.
And you don't know.
Take away the sleep and everything becomes like so hard to fix or to like navigate, you know?
And so you don't even know what those things are until it happens.
If you could just think through it, you'd be fine, but like you just can't. Yeah. You got too much piled on you and you don't have like your filter is like it's a funnel and it's like all coming through and the part where it all supposed to go through is like that big because you don't have any sleep or
exactly.
And you're preoccupied. So that's chaotic. So that JJ is hitting an age that's a little bit more the craziness continues forever as far as
Yeah.
I'm aware. But there's a different craziness with the 10-month-old who can start to communicate and talk and laugh and have a rhythm and a routine versus like the baby one where like, they just cry. I hope they're okay. I hope, you're checking all the things, but there's no like real feedback. There's a lot of unknowns and a lot of demands. Like you wanted to go out with your friends. You can't see your friends for the next 6 months because your baby has to eat all on these hours. I mean, you can go with them, but you got to take your baby with you. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. So the same thing. You can't sleep. You can't. So I think from that's also a season. I think we're moving into a little bit more stability. Yeah. And then financially, I mentioned this just a little bit in passing, but for better or worse, we end up getting our house flooded while we were trying to sell it, which would have been a nice boon to be able to get some of that money back out of there, which I hope we will. But it flooded and we lost some personal property that was in the basement, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been because we weren't living there. We were trying to sell, so we'd already moved out. And the stuff that was in there, we kind of left as staging stuff, but it's not stuff we really needed, And so we ended up making some money I don't think we'd have made on the personal property loss claim from that.
Sure. Yeah.
Just enough, just a little thing to say like, oh, you don't have to worry about like this month you'll be fine, this next month you'll be fine. And there's a few things that are kind of building up in your life that you need to take care of that you can take care of. And so that's like a stabilizing factor.
A nice buffer.
Yeah. We haven't had a nice buffer ever since we started the business in 2018. So 7 years of no buffer it's nice to have a little buffer. So
For sure. Yeah. that is really good too. For like the energy cost that you've had with kids, that can't go into the business or adventure or whatever you're doing to like increase your livelihood emotionally or financially. And now you have a draw on those two in other places. But to have like that financial buffer, it gives it's like half the equation. Half the reward is okay, I don't have to worry about that as much anymore.
Yeah.
Just keep going. And you guys got a new project recently too, which is super helpful.
Yeah.
So things are working out.
Yeah. I hope so. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop. But
yeah, and it's hard sometimes. Yeah, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, and then and it does later. It's just always.
I mean, it always
life.
does.
Yeah,
it always does
it's
eventually.
life.
But
right. So I'm glad to see you moving back into a more like stable, consistent, or level part of your life too, because then I see you doing more things. And I don't know, when it's a low time for work or business and like high stress time for kids or whatever, I see there's a lot more questions in myself when there's times of a lull or whatever. It's like, oh gosh, should I be doing something different? We're both proactive people.
Yeah.
So we're like, what's the work that I need to do to fix this? What, like, that's what you're saying. I think last time, I don't know if we mentioned it this time, like every couple months, you're double checking, do we still want to do this business?
Oh, yeah.
To like, do I just go get a corporate job for a little while to be set or whatever? And I would be the same way, to be like, okay, how do we get rid of this feeling that's a little uncomfortable? Or like in social society today it's really scary not to have money, and you don't know where your food's going to come from or your rent or whatever it's going to come from. So like it's on you or it's on me to go do that and figure it out.
Yeah, and it's easy to lose the joy of it when you feel like you're surviving.
Yeah, exactly.
That's something I did say last time I want to mention that you just pointed out, which is like you don't know where the food's going to come from or whatever. I want to say that it was risky, and a lot of people I know, maybe almost all the people I know, would have been extremely uncomfortable as we were in the financial situation we were in. It's an interesting learning experience to be that extremely tight, where you're going to have to postpone all your payments, you're going to default on your loans, your credit card could go negative. That didn't actually happen for us, but we were never in what I would call sincere danger. Our comfort was, our ego was certainly, but we were never actually in danger. And I think that's because we have this sort of latent wealth in our community where our family and friends are just so generous. And we were never in danger of being like sleeping on the streets or not getting like to eat. You know what I mean?
That's nice.
I did drop like 16 pounds, and I ate mostly frozen burritos for 2 years. But like, all of our family gatherings, we didn't bring anything to family potluck for probably 2 years. Nobody cared. They had more food than they made more food for us than they knew, and we knew. And they were, people covered our rent from time to time. People bought us tires when we needed them, and those are things that are very difficult to ask for. And there's a part of me that says like, yeah, you're being a mooch, or you know what you're getting yourself into, or if you wanted to, you don't have to do this. You could quit this and you could go and you could make the money you needed. And
Right.
all you have to do is just not be so selfish and go and do it. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
like there was an element of that that's very difficult for someone who cares about self-reliance and of boundaries to be able to accept from people. But they were extremely generous. Like we weren't begging. They're just very generous and very supportive. And we'd hope to be able to be that for someone else too when they are doing something sort of adventurous.
Right.
But all that to say that we were extremely blessed too. Like we didn't get through it on our own virtue. Really, we had an extremely generous community to support us through it. So even though it felt really uncomfortable, we were never really in genuine danger, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's awesome. And I think it speaks, there's some irony here, but I see it is speaking into your values as a business, but also personally, of generosity and community, because people around you want to be generous with what you have and to the community around you that's close knit and you care about. And to give it feels so great. I think there's a message when we were young in fundamental evangelicalism, but also it proves true in life that it's better to give than receive, or it feels really good to give, out of abundance, or when you just want to, and you can see it bless somebody to make their lives a little more stress-free, or to light up their joy a little bit in the moment. But for me, and like ego, like you're saying, it's hard to receive that in times when you may need it more, especially when you put yourself in that situation intentionally, like starting your own business.
yeah, exactly.
I
didn't have a crisis befall me. I chose this. Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, this is my decision. I'm feeling uncomfortable. So it's like, you don't have to cover me, because I could go do something else. But yeah. So.
And the other thing about that too is you mentioned I want to touch on, just because I want to give props as much as I can. We did have that discussion frequently. Steph and I have never shied away from hard things, but there were a lot of months where we would look at each other and say, like, do you want out? Like, do you want to stop doing this? Or do you want to keep doing this? Yeah. And over, we both agreed, like, we want to keep doing it. So if it had been any other way, where Steph was not in with me or I wasn't in, we wouldn't have done it. And I don't think we'd have been able to do it. Yeah. I think, like, literally, there's no possible way I could have done it if Steph was not there for it, if that makes sense. Like, if she was like, I don't want to be doing this, or I don't like this. Or she didn't like this. I don't like that we're doing this. It would have been completely non-starter. We were together on it, and that made a huge amount of difference. Yeah, I can't even imagine trying to make it happen without her being supportive.
Yeah, that's great. And being on the same page is huge. So talking about values, but there's a question here that I like. What is a value you've adopted from someone you admire? And last time you talked about your dad. What was that value like that you saw and then you wanted to continue?
Yeah. It's funny because it's hard almost to articulate, to bring it to like a point, because there's a feeling I feel that I can still feel in my body from when I would watch him work or build something or make something or fix something. And I guess it stems from, like, back on the farm, him and his dad, my grandpa, farmed. And it was never one of those kind of rare operations where you make a lot of money and you have a lot of cushion. It was always extremely, like, I didn't really understand at the time, but very, I don't want to be insulting, but like shoelace budget sort of thing. Like, if you need anything, there's no question, you'll do it. You'll make it happen. There's, like, never even an idea that you'll pay someone to come do it, or that you'll get it done for yourself, or you'll buy a new one or whatever. That's, like, just not a thing.
Because first of all, opportunity, and second of all, like the resources to do that.
There aren't resources. Yeah. You are the resource. That's actually, I didn't say it, but like that strikes on it. Mm-hmm. You are the resource. You are the agent. You are make it happen.
Yeah.
And first of all, in the context, there was zero complaining. Like, there wasn't even a hint of, I wish we could have someone come do this, or it'd be nice but I guess we'll do it. Like, there was zero. Maybe to a fault, like, obviously, like, there's a certain generation where, like, you never processed any of your, like, grief or, like, frustration. Sure. And so it maybe would have been good to say, like, I wish it could be a little bit better sometimes. But honestly, my grandpa and my dad never complained. My dad was very frustrated sometimes. Some of the stuff, I'll say, some of the shit that they went through was beyond, it was like, if it wasn't real life, it'd be hilarious. Like, the way that nothing would go right ever. Like, it just was so hard all the time. It seemed like, it's like, if you were to design a thing to make somebody go crazy with frustration, like, this was it. Later on, I found out from my dad, he always liked it. He mostly farmed because he liked it. Because he also taught.
Yeah.
So he would teach and he'd drive to our farm, which is an hour and a half away in key times. And then we spent almost the whole summer going back and forth between those two. But like key times with like the end of the school year when it's also planting,
Yeah.
he would drive back and forth and do all this work. And the machinery was very old and decrepit, and he'd like fix and try and build and make and do. And especially as my grandpa got older and couldn't, do it, he was doing everything. But anyway, the two of them were always exceedingly resourceful. And I thought that was the most amazing thing in the world. I never saw them think, maybe I should have someone else do this for me. They never thought, maybe I can't do this. They always just thought, what is the thing that needs to be done? And how can we do it? And then they did it. And they did that so much that goddamn, there was never a thing that they couldn't do. And I think that's just amazing. That's just like the idea that you are a powerful agent and you can bend your mind and your will to do something that just people just wouldn't even be able to do or imagine doing. And you just always do it. You just do it. There's no question. It's, I'm not just saying like you force yourself to do it. It's just like I guess they embodied like the most like powerful, ingenious, engaged, innovative creativity. If you knew them or talk to them, they're both very stoic. I'm not sure how much my dad is like his dad because I didn't know grandpa when he was a younger person, but my dad's always just a very reserved, stoic, very logical, like very rational person. So you wouldn't expect to ever describe him as like free-spirited, like creative in like the traditional like sense, but he was very creative. He is very creative and very interesting in the way he sees the world. So the value, I guess, to bring it all home is just to say that you can do really hard stuff. The more you let yourself do it, the more gratifying it'll be and the more badass you'll be. And you don't need someone to do it for you. You can do stuff. For some reason, I guess I was just like ignorant and prideful. Just thought like, oh, I'm like the first entrepreneur in the family. What? Ranching and farming is an entrepreneurial endeavor. There's not a boss telling you do this, do that, this season, do this or whatever. Like that's a family operation. Dad, grandpa, they were running their shit. They were doing it, you know, and making it happen. And that's where I came from. That's where infertile soil that I came out of. So I certainly didn't pioneer that. And so I observed that in them. That's the thing I would want to pass on is just say like, you will be surprised what you can do if you have a lot of tenacity, you're curious, interested, you stick with it enough to build the number of things you can be delighted by doing in proportion to the number of things you let yourself do and build skill and confidence in. Yeah. You'll find that if you invest in it, it'll be a rich ground of delight and interest and curiosity for you. And also simultaneously of value and productivity for you and your community.
Yeah, absolutely. And challenge. And and what I like and hear you saying is that they had this, well, we as humans and definitely them that you saw, they had this idea, this creativity, this way to think outside the box or let themselves stew over a problem enough to not say, this is like, we don't have this part or whatever, which would fix this right away. How can we jimmy rig or how can we divert this problem and make it another problem so we can fix it that way? And so it's really seeing from a new angle. And I know we both like chess, and which is awesome. And I just played this game where I thought I was losing the whole time, and I switched it, and like I was focused on something else for like the other half of the game, and then if I just switched a view, I'm like I could win really quickly. So they had this practice of doing that, of like, okay, this is the problem, I'm looking at this problem, and then maybe if I switched it, it would do this, and then they solve a problem or something, and that's really cool, and that shows like our capability of being learning creatures, very very intelligent in that way, and that's awesome. And then that is actually your description this time, I think, is closer to what Steph said in our interview than it was the first time.
Gotcha. But I haven't heard the interview. For the record, I held off listening to that interview until I did this one. So I would just be copying everything that Steph said.
Right. That's okay. Gotcha. Nice. But I love it because you're saying that it is in us and just try, and you can do big things. And you can do more than you think, and just try. Yeah.
It's the opposite of lethargy, you know? I mean, it's so interesting to juxtapose it with someone who goes to a job where they don't have any ownership or agency, and their life is like what a percentage of if you want to split it by time, like whatever percentage of their life is just spent doing something that they're apathetic about or don't care too much about, or they take a little personal pride in it because it's them doing it, but like the thing they're doing, it's sort of like for someone else and not their thing. That, you know, this other way of operating engages you with your entire life.
Yeah.
And I don't know a better way to live than to be engaged with your entire life. Like, don't be like a zombo who's just like, brr. For this part, I just go, brr. And then when that's over, maybe I'll do something I want to do or whatever. Like, ooh, that seems like a giant price to pay.
Right.
A giant fee on your life, which is, of course, why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I don't want to pay the fee. I don't want to give that up.
Right. And that's awesome. Did you have another thing?
Nope.
Okay. It's great to see that you both hold that value so tightly or so integrated and then to move that forward. And I'm sure you're going to totally instill that into your kids and that they'll have the mindset like that already. I see Sonny just being so industrious already anyway. He, like you said, he has all the energy. So it's great to see. And I'm excited to see how he's going to use that. And I know Jay, in her own ways, is already expressing some of those things.
Yeah.
And so I also value that. That value. I share that with you, and I enjoy that, and I think that is something great to keep moving forward, because it's super helpful, because like we're going through in the other podcast, Walking in This World, she says we're all artists, and in my brain that makes me think of, okay, the entire world and humankind is that way. I think there's a prompt where she was talking about name your heroes, your artist heroes, and I named 2 inventors, and I'm like, that they're totally artists. Your dad was totally an artist, your grandpa was totally an artist, doing the things that maybe weren't artsy, but they're practical and they're problem solving, and that's what art is. It's an expression and solving a problem. If it is getting at your emotions, if it's getting out whatever, it's that same thing. And so it's useful. It's definitely a useful skill, useful value, and important for us to keep participating in. To switch a little bit, continue talking about you and yourself, we're going to get into your quirks and what makes you tick a little bit. I think the question I asked you last time was, is a random talent or skill you would have that most people wouldn't guess? And we made up a little word for this, but I'm just want you to go first and
The
explain.
metastructure, was that it?
Metastructural vision.
Metastructural vision.
Yeah.
That's my superhero ability. Yeah. So, like, to preface that, let me disclaim it twice, actually. First, the thing is that it's hard to tell what other people think of me or you. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I look like to anybody else. It's really, the longer I live, the more I know, and I've known for a long time, that it's very difficult to truly put yourself in someone else's shoes, because you don't know how you're different than them. Even if you see their outward expression, the motivations behind that expression are not exactly inscrutable, but subtle and complex. Obviously, you don't know that about yourself. Obviously, this is true for everything, but like, I have a little bit more of a view into myself than I do anybody else. And so I frequently don't know what other people's water is that they're swimming in. I just know my own. So it's difficult to compare them and know what a person would be seeing or interpreting by what I'm doing. And that's true for everybody. But so I just want to say, like, for that, I don't know what other people would guess.
Sure.
I can base my answer on that this thing seems hard to see and hard to hard. It's not like overt. If my skill was like spinning a basketball on my finger, like, people would be able to tell that I have that skill. But like, this other skill is like maybe hard to suss out. I think maybe.
Right. Gotcha.
And the other thing is, it's not something I've heard anybody really talk about. So it's either so ubiquitous that it's not special and everybody can do it and nobody talks about it because it's like obvious, or else it's like a thing that people don't do or don't think in terms of. I tend to think from experience it's more the second one, because the thing that I do this in like my business and my like operational life and stuff, it does have a different flavor than other people, and it's sort of based around this. So I think it might be unique. Not unique, but like pronounced.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's this, what we landed on last time, called metastructural view, which is essentially like, and everybody does this to some extent, but I have a skill of looking at a thing or a set of things, a scenario. Mm-hmm. What it is exactly, this depends on how like zoomed in or zoomed out you are. So like, is it like a detail or is it like a big picture thing? To see the big picture and to suss the concept, it's like a pattern. I can see the pattern, mm-hmm. or the potential pattern. That could be there. So like, when I'll see like it's one of the reasons I like to do like software architecture and engineering. Mm-hmm. It's not that I want to solve like, oh, I love to make this dial work just right. I mean, I like that. I like the details. I like the polish, but generally one of the valuable things I think I bring to the table is to say, what is it that you're trying to do on a higher level? Now, don't say how you want to do it or how you think it should be done. Like, what are you trying to achieve? I can see when you're talking, that coming out. I can see from these other concepts that are connected, like the values that are underneath or that you'd want to pronounce, or how this thing here would be bolstering a value you have, or how this thing might be what you're imagining is useful to you, but is actually undercutting something that you'd actually like to do. And there could be this alternative that we could discover. So there's like this thing where I can sort of see the meta narrative, the metastructural pattern in even like sort of mundane, maybe non-metaphysical or spiritual or like whatever things, just like normal systems.
Yeah.
So I see things, I see the spirit living in a system very readily.
Yeah.
And it's not only true in like technical solutions, but also in like relationships and things that are just going on generally. Like I see in terms of the essence, the concept, the pattern that's inside. Yeah. I'm not very good at a lot of the details a lot of the time. Like Steph will laugh because she's got really, well, she'll say that she doesn't now, but before we had kids and mom brain and all that, she was very good with details. Like I always joke that she was Rain Man because we'd come up to the door we haven't entered to a friend's house and the key, I'd be like, what's the key code? Like I could have not come up with a number in the key code to save my life. Even though I was there like 2 weeks ago, like I would not. And she could be like, I don't know, I think it's 4882. And I would try, and it's like correct almost every time. So she's really good, and like all the other details, like less arcane than that, but like she's good at that. I'm not good at details. Like it took me a 20 years to know the birth dates of everybody in my immediate family.
Yeah.
Like I sometimes waffle on my own. Like for almost this entire year thought I was 36. I'm 37. Like literally like a month ago, I was like, am I 37? And Steph's like, yeah, you're 37. I was like, oh, I've been telling people I'm 36 this year. Like totally just don't.
Yeah, don't keep track of
No, that's not a number that means anything to me really. And so I can't hold on to it. But conversely, I do not need all the details to understand what's going on. I think maybe I'm overestimating my abilities, but generally I can take the pattern that I understand, the concept that I understand, and I can explore the space with it beyond what I've seen with my own eyes or my own ears. Beyond the details I have, I can extrapolate it. Yeah. That's the value of a good pattern, a good understanding, is that you can extrapolate that and use it to simulate exploration, like real world exploration. Like you just like know more that's contained implicitly in that pattern than you can know from like facts or empirical evidence. Of course, you need to have those things to balance. You can't get a good pattern without like actually like checking if it corresponds with reality. So I think that's my skill, is being able to see like the metaphysical. That's not what we said. The metastructure.
Yeah, metastructural vision. Yeah, it's like you have what you've seen in a system, scenario, whatever, and you've made like this little code, this little equation for it, and then you can mess with it and tweak it a little bit to see what outcome that might be available. I'm thinking more like when we're designing something in the house or the building right now is, it could be this way, it could be this way. What if instead of, say like a piping solution, whatever. Instead of trying to use these pieces to go down that way, what if we instead went around and went over something or other? And so what you're doing is you're toying with the kind of the back end to see what in the front end would change in the way that is nuanced to you. I say, like you are looking for the meta, and you're using what you have in your mind to kind of like extrapolate that out, like you're talking about.
Yeah, it's interesting because like it's more than like a good example would be, it's more than just what's one way we could get pipe from A to B. It's what resources would it require to do that we have or that we want to get. How fun would that particular work be? Is that something we're interested in doing?
Right.
Because those are all factors like, that's a harder thing, but sounds fun, so we should do that. We could do it that way. That would or that sounds miserable, or we need a specialized tool to do that, or the result would be more pleasant. If we did this way, it would look better, or it would work better. Right. All these things, like what's our timeline? What's our budget? All of these things are things that are like, if you were to list them out in details, and like they'd be sheets long of just like all these requirements and details.
Yeah.
That's overwhelming and difficult to suss. But like for me, I have this, like, I don't know that much about it, but Steph talks about like the human design, which is sort of a way of understanding. It's one of the many ways of understanding yourself, but and there's like some templates or patterns or archetypes. I don't know how they call them, but basically for my type, and I resonate this very deeply, is one of my centers of authority, I think they call them, is my gut, my intuition. Yeah. And that's true if you ever like talk to me or I instinctively I know and with conviction instinctively, intuitively. And I do know that's my primary source of authority when I think or feel my way through the world.
Yeah.
So, other people have other different ways of being, and sometimes they're slower, sometimes they're post-reflective. Like Steph says, that one of her things is she'll get initially excited about it, but what's important for her to do is to wait for a day and see if that excitement subsides and reflect on it, whether or not that's a guiding sensation, a guiding feeling or not. For me, I know almost immediately with my intuition, like this is a thing for me or not, or I have a sense of this or I don't. And it's not that no revelation comes additionally, then that's not like all or none, but like that's definitely my center of authority. And so I kind of think quickly and see with my intuition more. So when I see like all the details, I can see, I turn myself off here a second. There I am. I can see the details emerge from the, I can see the pattern, the concept sort of emerge out of all the details without getting completely overwhelmed by the details. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's unique or whatever, but it does it connects to an important thing. I think last time, this might have been when we started to talk about the Trinity.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, I think we're almost there because you keep mentioning the pattern and the potential.
Yeah,
and
that's 100% like in my brain right now. So like I can't even like you and I need to have another one of these where we talk about something I need to talk about with somebody right now, which is something I've been thinking about. How with AI, how neural nets can encode information. Like, how is it possible? What is it fucking doing?
Yeah.
How can there be like information in a random neural net? It's not random. Anyway, I've been researching that, thinking about that. And all it's really done is bring me back to this concept of the Trinity with like the potential, the pattern, and the particular.
Yeah.
And it's really made me see it in like a richer way. So I got to talk about that with somebody and talk through that. And you're the guy. But anyway, so there's this idea of the Trinity that I've been thinking about a lot in the last couple of years. I'm going to go ahead and insert it here because I think it seems natural. Because I remember asking, I was like, can I go really weird and deep right now? Because this is like sort of important to me and connects to my whole ethos. Long story short, like there's a lot to it, and I'm always like thinking of more things to it all the time. So I'm going to try and boil it down to something that's accessible to other people, that makes sense to somebody. But essentially, like I don't know if there are other religions that have the concept of the Trinity or not. It's sort of a concept that's emergent. Am I still working?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I might have unplugged myself here. Oh, there I am. It's kind of a sketchy little switch.
Gotcha.
But anyway, one of the very interesting things about the Christian doctrine for me is the idea of Trinity, like a three-person wholeness. The whole thing is God, not any individual person. Obviously, there's a lot of different interpretations of that, especially in Western modern Christianity. We get away from that being a metaphor for like the largeness and roundness of the divine reality and get more hung up on the metaphor. Like it's a guy. There's the father guy and there's the guy son. That's not what I'm talking about. I didn't like that at all. As an idea, I think that the father could represent and does maybe more appropriately represent as the mother. Father to me almost seems like a little bit more of a patriarchal rewriting of the mother, but mythologically the mother is like the birthplace of everything. It's the womb. It's like the potential. It's the foundation stone, the wellspring. Yeah. Right. And so I think that's that is part and parcel of the divine. That alone isn't the entirety of the divine. The point being, like, that's not just one thing. It's like, it's not three people on the same plane that are really one person. It's like that one thing extends across all these realities, like these ways of being, these slices of reality, I guess maybe is a better way of saying it. And that's one. So I call that the potential, like the base potential of everything, the thing that's there underlying everything. And then I think that's the Father. And then like the Holy Spirit, I would say, is like the pattern. It's like the essence. It's like the animating thing behind the thing. So like when you see information on the page, there's like the data itself, but then the pattern is not the data. The pattern is an emergent property of like the arrangement of it, like the information. And so it's a replicating, self-replicating, communicating, expressing thing that's extra to the particular.
It's like a movement.
Yeah.
It's like a natural... communication that you're saying, a movement surrounding whatever.
Yeah, it's almost like if you think about like waves. If you look at waves in the water, like the wave isn't a material thing. It's a phenomenon. Like the particles of water, they're just going up and down. The wave is that energy and that synchrony moving through all of them. It's a thing. Exactly. It's definitely a thing, but it's not like a material thing. So it's like the pattern. It's like the thing that's alive inside of all the other things, and the other actual particular things, that's the incarnation. So the Son to me represents the incarnation. That's what we talk about Jesus as being. That all become an actual, like, I don't want to say actual, a particular in time, in place, in space thing.
That's what the wave is.
Yeah.
That's the wave.
The expression. The expression is the particles are actually there, but like the wave is inside them, you know, or they are inside the wave, both. And then all those things can't be there without the potential of those things being there. Like that, you have to have, none of those make any sense. Not like you're not allowed to have them, like they don't make sense without the other ones. The whole thing is the coherent whole. And so when I'm thinking, that's kind of come to resonate with me a lot as like the idea of what God is, or like what it all is.
Absolutely.
The divine. And so whenever I'm doing, well, I guess this is probably where we got to the next question, because I think you're going to ask me about, I remember talking about like what I'm doing and thinking when I'm building or making or doing a hobby or something that's interesting to me. Is that coming?
Yeah. That was the
Okay, so I'll set that as my stage.
Go for it.
What were you? And that,
Yeah. It's the most unique, or I can't remember if I asked you about your passion from childhood, but I think it was like a unique hobby or interest. Like, what is one of those you have?
Yeah, I think that was it. And I don't remember giving you a straight answer. As you can all tell by this whole podcast, I don't give straight answers, apparently. Just blabber on about something that's not related to the question.
Right.
Hopefully that's not disrespectful. I'm trying to answer.
Great. It's great.
But I think the essential thing is, a couple examples of things I like to do are build, make, generally. So any kind of thing like that. Like when we moved into Rosebud here, like I've had like waning and waxing energy to do it.
Yeah.
But I've really enjoyed creating something useful and aesthetic and that's transformed, but still respects where it came from in the space that we're in, with the limitations we have as far as like expertise and personnel and money, and like getting all that together as potential and trying to sense from all that data on the data sheet the emergent pattern, and then making from that something particular.
Yeah.
That whole process is like fascinating to me and very engaging and very enriching. So I've really enjoyed that. Same thing, like similar with like a simpler thing. Just like I don't do it very often, but I like the idea of making games. It's very simple, like video games, because I like the idea of being able to do it all. I like the idea of storytelling, of doing the program, like the architectural part, like that can serve the storytelling. The art, which is like an expression of character and personality that also serves storytelling and also is part of the storytelling. So it's all like kind of amorphous and like interacts. I love to see like all the things, like the result is something more than it seems should be there.
Yeah.
It's synergistic in this way. Like the result is way more than what all went into it. That always fascinates me about like very simple pixel games. We're playing like pixel art games where like the character is an 8x8 pixel thing. It doesn't look like a guy or a sword or whatever. That doesn't matter though, because our imagination can see it. And in the context of a story and a narrative, you're connecting with it. You're understanding what it's doing, what you want it to do. It's kind of almost you. It's going on an adventure that you can feel. I don't know. That's nuts to me. Like the idea of that. So that's pretty cool. I like that idea of creating video games. But like building things, making things. And it's not like, what is it? It's not the act of making things. Because I've thought about this a lot of times, like of all the renovation we've done here at the Rosebud, for example, and at the other houses I've lived in, would I want to be like a contractor?
Yeah.
Never. I would never want to do this all the time.
Yeah.
Because for me, I was like, why not? Like I've enjoyed doing it when I've done it. Part of it is that two things. First of all, maybe I'm selfish or maybe not. I don't know what it means, but a lot of the value for me is finishing it and then enjoying it and experiencing what it's like, good or bad, or
Sure.
And not just for me, but also for people I care about in my life. So I would never want, I would put infinite energy into making a hidden place in the world that I live in and I can show to people and share with them. I would not put even half the energy into making a space that someone else's that I don't get to experience. Or like, obviously I care about them a lot. I can get enough out of just like giving to them as a gift, like doing it as a gift, like that feels valuable. Sure. But like, just like doing like linoleum tiles for random houses. Like they want the cheap linoleum tile with no thought, no like inspiration, no like, you know, that like that is, it's gone. It's complete. The whole, like the spirit of what I want to do is gone in that situation. And so for me, it's like creating like a entryway for us. It's like, I'm thinking of like, what does the space already have? Like, what's the space lend itself to? What's already there? What would we like to use it for? What would make sense? Like, what's the feng shui in it? Like, what do you want to actually like feel in the space or use this space? What's going to feel like you're really, what's going to lend itself to like a good experience in that space. It's that like the way it looks, the way it fits into your process when you're moving through the home, and then also like what materials make sense like for that, or not like what specific materials, but like what range of possibilities would fit with that, and also are cool and aesthetic and match other things, or like pique our interest, our creativity, and also which of those things can we afford or actually do or work with ourselves. Like that's a real thing. What's our time like that we have to put on this? Because I don't want like only theoretical things you can never do. I actually, in the end, care a lot about actually just doing it. That's one of the reasons I'll never go back to school, is because I like the theoretical. I like the potential that comes out of knowing more, but I don't want to spend any more time theoretically. I want to do stuff. And that's like, I couldn't get out of college fast enough because I wanted to just start doing it. And so so then I'm thinking like, how will Steph use this? How will I use this? Like, how will this transform as our kids grow older and across the different seasons?
Yeah.
These are all things I'm thinking about, maybe not thinking about, but have like in the stew.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
just boiling in the cauldron, and then like taking that out and just trying to create something that's like in as harmony with all of those factors as possible. Not in a like restrictive, like you have to make sure all this stuff, like it's open hand. It's like, obviously it's, it's a balance. Like some of these things matter more than others. Some of them are achievable. Some of them aren't achievable. That's fine. You just accept the particular, you accept the incarnation, but you can see all the potentials there. You can understand what patterns are at play in what goes into it. Again, I also mentioned like how much of this would be fun to do. We can do it together. Would I enjoy the process of doing? Right. I'd hate this part, but it'll be over fast, so that's fine. This part would be painstaking, but I would love the result of all of the, like, I don't have the desire to do this, but I'm just thinking about like, they do those like penny countertops or floors.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that particular thing, but I also think like sometimes something like that is very cool to me, because every time you come in there, you'll think, I spent so much time putting those pennies down. This whole space is imbued with my intention, the care and investment I have in this spot. That's not like, no one else is going to come in there and see, like, you sell the house and like, how gross, weird penny floor. Like, I guess that's kind of weird, but they don't have the value connection with it. That makes sense. So like just creating like little sparks of like place in the world, in particular in the world, that take that potential and work with it and try to sense the pattern that's inside of it all and make something particular. And not only just once, but sometimes like see how it worked, see how, like, experiment with it. It's like, what's the result? Oh, this is actually obnoxious to use. Yeah. Actually, this is really nice. When I walk in, I notice this. I've never really noticed this thing doesn't bother me, or I never like get any value out of it. Just experiencing the experience of it after you're doing is a huge thing. So like a lot of times what I'll do is like, if I do a little, we had these Baltic tents in our doorway, and they open and close, but they're kind of loud. There's like a little spring on a ball in the top of your door, and then there's like a little detent in the doorway so that you holds it closed, but it kind of pops in and out, makes a lot of noise. Anyway, I got like a magnetic version of that, so it replaces that with some neodymium magnets, and then it's very quiet, but it still like pulls it closed with this satisfying pull, but it's not like loud. I don't know. It's very So I just was putting those in, but after I do that, as much value, I am going to have fun and enjoy going in and out of that door every single time, probably for a year. Until I'm like, I've become desensitized to it at some point, probably. Sure. But like, I open and close that thing. Like, I'll just stop what I'm doing. And like, I want to go and see that again. And I'll just go in and open and close and like, oh yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's like the payment comes after too.
Yeah. I like it. This is one of my favorite things about a book C.S. Lewis wrote called Out of the Silent Planet, where they're talking about remembering is like one huge step in the process. Like a review or taking a breath. In the biblical creation story, it's God's day of rest or whatever. It's to appreciate what you've done and to be grateful and enjoy it. And I think that's huge. As you're talking about this interest, and you're really just kind of keep going on about your metastructural vision and how it comes to play for you. And I love that. It shows you're connected as a person, but it shows that you're connected to your view of the divine in Trinity. And like, you get to participate with that, and you try, and that's like, you're melded together with that in the process.
I'm made out of that.
Yeah. And it's great. Yeah. It's because in all honesty, you can't not participate, but you're aware and conscious of it, and as you do it, and you enjoy that process of being it and enjoying it, and it's all wrapped up together, which is amazing. I think that's really cool, and I like how that's like exemplary to me because I'm like, oh, I love this vision. I love this idea. I love how you express it in the world. And so it inspires me to do similar things or think similar ways. So I really appreciate you talking about it and like that, and enjoying it, because I can see I can do that in a similar way sometimes. And so I love that you're here and that you're talking about it. And thank you for enjoying the second conversation with me. And yeah, it was super good. And I appreciate you. And yeah, thanks for
Thank you,
being
Cameron.
here.
It's been great.